Welcome to the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. We're on the Come and Talk to Me network. This is my dynamic co-host, my guy Blue.
Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. They're matching a first-time deposit of up to $250. We appreciate y'all. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, show us some love because we reading and we watching. We appreciate y'all. All right, Pops.
I want to thank you on behalf of the show because I'm used to seeing you zip it down and unbutton on your shirt. And
I wish I wasn't wearing an undershirt.
No.
If I wasn't wearing an undershirt, I was just representing Team USA. I was watching our guy Chase Budinger. Chase Budinger, first NBA player to play an Olympic match in beach volleyball. That's my young boy. He's a stud. I'm proud of him. So I was watching it this morning at 7 a.m. His match tomorrow is at 6 a.m. So. Yeah, so I'm supporting Chase, Team USA.
Now, I know you're big in the volleyball and beach volleyball. Have you had any encounters with Chase?
Oh no, Chase and I. This is no lie. They're the mecca of beach volleyball is Hermosa Manhattan Beach. So when I used to live in San Diego, I moved up here like 10 years ago to start training more and to be more active because my back was messed up. So I was like, I need more activity. So I moved up here, started doing yoga, started playing beach volleyball, kind of like pickup. So the way we play pickup basketball in this community is the same that they play beach volleyball. So it's like it'll be like 20 people in a text chain and everyone will say in, out, in, out. You get a group of 8. And then you go play fours from 3:34 to 6:30 during the summer. And it's just a constant like pickup game. Like that's what we do. So Chase is on that pickup. So when he moved, he used to live in San Diego. He moved up here. So his last couple of years of basketball, we would train together up here. He lives in Hermosa Beach also. But then we would train in the morning and then we would all just go play volleyball every single day during the summer. Chase retires, says, I'm going to go full-time in this, and then we've all supported him. So Chase has taught me. He's one of the guys that taught me how to play volleyball.
You just called him your young boy.
He is.
So, no, if he taught you, you're his young boy.
No. He's my okay, watch it. But hear me out. Chase is from San Diego. He went to University of Arizona. So I was in the NBA and Luke Walton, we were recruiting Chase. Chase, when he decided to come to Arizona, Chase used to like hop the fence at our house in San Diego and throw like high school parties, right? So it's like, that's what I mean. Like, that's my young guy. Like, I've always supported Chase. But then when he moved up to Hermosa, I moved up here like a year before him. And then we would just Luke Walton, all those guys. But it was like, our team, we've got Nick Lucena, you guys don't know it, David Lee, and a bunch of like volleyball community guys that just all play and have a good time.
That's awesome.
Speaking of Arizona, what was it like playing for the great LUTE also?
He's one of those people that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him, right? Not only just as like a father figure, but it's just he's a legacy builder. He's one of those guys that's like, hey, this is how I want to do things. And even now to see, Steve Kerr, to see, different coaching, coaches that are still LUTE Olson guys and to see the impact that they're having. Luke Walton, we have Brett Brillmeyer, there's so many Arizona guys that are coaching. And so it's like Jason Terry's doing it, Damon Stoudemire. There's so many guys, Josh Pastner. So it's like, Miles Simon, there's so many of these guys that like got to learn from that man. And we're all a part of that community together. And so for me, I just feel super blessed that like, I'm fortunate to have gone to a school with a man with such a vision and with such a outstanding leader that his community carries it together. Like that to me is, I like, even we talk about Iggy and all the guys like our finals in 2016 and 2016, there was 9 people associated with Arizona involved because you had Andre on one side, you had me and Channing on another side. We had Brett Brillmeyer as a coach. I forget all, Steve Kerr, forgot all, like there was a couple more people on there coaching, but we were just like 8 or 9 people combined between coaching staff and players and front office that were associated with Arizona. So like, to me, that was just the pinnacle to win that for that man and just be in that space. It was special.
And you actually have a building named after you on the campus, don't you?
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I'm not here to flex, but since you guys want to talk, like, I have a gymnasium that just spans, I don't know, like, full city block, something along those things. And it says Richard Jefferson Gymnasium, right? So my Phoenix Jefferson, my youngest son, he was a little disappointed because his brother's name was on a gym, but I told him they were named after Big Rich, my dad. So then he felt a little bit better. But yes, there's a large and big pictures of me. Like, seriously, it's a part of the Tucson tour guide. If you're ever in town, just, they do tours throughout it. Feel free to stop in. But shout out the Big 12. You guys don't know me yet, but you're going to be practicing and doing stuff in my gym. Nice to meet you.
This dude is flexing at a whole That is the greatest flex in the history of this show.
Yeah, you might got on lock with that one.
Look, keep it short. Just call it the RJG. That's what they call it, the RJG, the Richard Jefferson Gymnasium. Everyone in Tucson will know. It's no big deal. Yeah.
Oh, man, that is hilarious.
Hey, they should never give me money. They should never give me money. We know this.
What do you think about the current state of college athletics with the introduction of these players getting paid now?
It's just an overcorrection on a stupid system. It's an overcorrection. Now it's the Wild Wild West. It was nothing to like no control. Every kid can transfer every year. And it's like Arizona lost one of their players to, I forgot, Nebraska, because they're like, hey, you're going to be a senior. We'll pay you $800,000 to come be the best player. So now so it becomes like a bidding war for all these players. Even one of the football coaches was like, oh, to get a good quarterback in the transfer portal is going to cost you $2 million. And you're going to have to pay hundreds of, like at Ohio State, you might have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to your backup quarterback, right? Like there still needs to be some sort of organization versus just like the wild, wild west right now. I think it's terrible for college sports. I think it's going to continue until they come up with a system to allow it to be governed properly. The Pac-12 just disappeared. People aren't sure what's going to happen to the ACC. It's like, okay, let's everyone take a step back and say, what's a way that we can restructure this? Even if you pool the money together and then allow that to be distributed to all of the athletes equally, right? Or just some different things. But right now, this college sports is only sustainable, in my opinion, for the next 10, 12 years in this manner. With coaches leaving, players leaving, it's like, what are you even watching?
Yeah.
My only argument against that, and I agree with you 100%, but the problem that I have is for 100 years, the powers that be have benefited from their set of rules. Big money, leaving job A to job B, exposing kids, and now all of a sudden, we want to change it immediately because it's advantage kids.
I don't think it's not necessarily advantage kids. I think we still should be doing a service to the kids, and monetary value is not the only service to the kid, right? That is not the only service that college sports is supposed to. It should be a large component, but I think maybe making a kid commit for 2 seasons, right? You can only transfer after 2. Like, it just can't be every single year you're at a different school. And again, I'm not even 100% sure of the rules, but I'm just like, I know guys can just go up and transfer, and it's just the transfer portal and the way it works. Cool. I fully support it. Coaches were doing it before. Coaches were like, I'm never leaving. And then like 2 weeks later, right? And all of these kids would be stuck in their letter of intent, which was dirty, right? And it's like, well, no, you committed to the school, not the coach. And it was just, it was a shitty, shitty system. But we have to still say, is this current system, even though it heavily weighs towards the student athletes, I'm not trying to take any dollars away from them. I'm just saying we shouldn't have them at 18 to 22 just bouncing from college to college trying to get the bag, right? Like I think that like commit, like baseball. When you go to school, like if we were talking about a baseball thing with basketball, if you go to school, you're going to school for 3 years. That's the way it is in college baseball. They have you for 3 years, or you can go to junior college. I think if you go, like I thought, if you decide to go to college, you should be able to go for 2 years. Just something. They have to come up with some system, and we're not going to figure it out right now. But right now, it's overly weighed into chaos. It's overly weighed into chaos. The first system wasn't great. This one's still crappy. My humble, grumpy opinion.
What are your thoughts on the women's game and how far that has advanced? You're talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the special talent that the WNBA has now and college basketball has.
Love it. I love it. I think they got a big eye opening into how we don't always talk about, you know this, and our job is not just to talk about the winners and the losers. It's to find the stories, it's to find the things. It's a lot of times, like at certain companies, is to create the drama, to make it so that you have something to talk about in the 24-hour news cycle. And if you're the WNBA and the NBA, you want to be covered like the NBA is covered, most of the time, the stuff is the drama. You can catch the highlights on SportsCenter. What they're talking about on First Take and NBA Today, it's not just the highlight, it's the drama. It's the who goes where. It's what's going on. It's all who's getting traded. And I think this year with Caitlin and Angel Reese and Cameron Brink and all the other stars, like we still got Diana Taurasi in there. You got Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Sabrina. So you got like this new wave of stars with some OGs that are still there with this crazy crop. And it's just this beautiful media storm, and they're all benefiting from it. But I think they also understand that, with more attention isn't always positive media. And I think that's what I think they're learning. But I think this young group of athletes are also very media trained, so they're handling it very well.
I got a question. So our last interview was with Nancy Lieberman, who played on Team USA as a woman. Is it time for us to get some women representation on Team USA? Maybe Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, or Angel Reese, somebody? Is it that time?
Wait. What do you mean?
Could we get a spot on the actual team?
No. For like, I know there's a lot of like Caitlin Clark conversation on that. And I think it's also, I'm big on discourse, but tell me who she should take off, and then make your. No, I'm not calling you. I'm not saying you.
Okay, thank you.
I wouldn't do that to you, bro. I wouldn't do that. I'm saying people often say, so and so got snubbed. Okay, well, tell me who should be on it instead. And so I think when you look at it, Diana Taurasi is about to be, a 6-time Olympian, for maybe a chance at a 6-time, gold medal with one team sport. That would be a record. So it's like, you don't want to tell the Kobe Bryant of the 08 Dream Team that, he's not going to go because we got this young star. But I do believe that the goal of the 92 basketball team was to grow the game of basketball, right? Adding Caitlin Clark would have grown the game of basketball, but there was a bunch of things that I'll share with you. For instance, when they first gave the schedule, she was on one of the worst teams, and they gave her this front-loaded superstar schedule because they wanted marquee games against the marquee teams. So then they get off to a slow start. And then they start playing the average teams, and then it's like now all of a sudden she's playing better because it does take time to figure it all out. But I think Caitlin Clark and that whole core group next year at the Olympics, we're all going to want to watch them play together in LA, right? We're going to get a chance to watch Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all of these studs. But to me, I think not having her on the team, it would have been a PR move, but also same thing. Would we be sitting here saying Jason Tatum didn't play? Maybe that's what USA Basketball didn't want. And we're not going to force her on the court or force in these rotations. Plus, she had never done USA Basketball before the last 2-3 years. So she didn't even have that because she was playing in the Final Four. She didn't have that, I practiced with them and now I'm going to play with them in this Olympics. She had nothing. So I think they made the right decision, although it was an unpopular one.
Understood.
During my research, I came up with what is that look like? Tell me, is it true you took Uber share?
No.
I mean, a dude with a gym named after him, the RJG. You took Uber share?
Look. First of all, let me say this again. I don't mind you doing this. I'm gonna scoot closer to the camera. I don't mind you saying this because it allows me to just show how humbly of an amazing person I am, and I say that as one of the most outstanding human beings, humbly. What happened was we were in Indianapolis and we were on a one-way street. So my Uber, as they're about to drop you off, they can pick up another ride. Like, oh, this ride's about to end. You can get your next ride. So they got their ride, but my Uber still needed to pick me up, or needed to drop me off like 2 blocks down. So they tried to get into my car, and she was like, "Wait, are you guys my next ride?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm your next ride." And so she's like, "Guys, I have to drop him off like 3 more blocks up, and then I have to circle around to come back to get you." Now I'm hat down, whatever, and I'm like, I look over, I'm like. I was like, "Hey, man, how much for this?" She's like, "Oh, it's like 2 more blocks." I'm like, "How many you guys got?" 3. You guys can just hop in because it's snowing out. It's snowing. It's like the weather's like trash. It's Indianapolis. You know that. You lived there. It's so trash in the middle of February. So I felt bad if this lady was going to have to circle the block on All-Star Weekend. So I tell them, "Yo, you guys can hop in." As soon as they get in the car, they're like, "Richard?" And I'm just like, yo, it's Richard Jefferson. And so I started recording them and like cracking jokes, not even knowing that these guys were like YouTube, TikTok stars and all this other stuff. I was just like, I saw some brothers out in the cold and I was just like, yo, I'll help them out. And they started going crazy. And I'm just like, don't be a nice guy. That's your lesson. That's your lesson. Don't be a nice person. So I do not ride Uber Share. I don't ride Uber Pool, but I did make a mistake and learned why I do not.
That's classic.
No, that's hilarious. I'd like to let you know, since my pops was to bring it up, I'll leave the airport and call him. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm getting the Uber X." He'd be like, "Uber X? You got to get Uber Black." So that's who we're talking to right now. That's who we're talking to.
Wait a second. This is for like, you're talking to him like you two are going to ride in that, or he's just telling you?
No, he's just telling. If I'm on the phone, I'm leaving the airport, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm about to just get an Uber X."
Blue, is his credit card attached to your Uber?
No, I need to get the information.
Yeah, Uber Black. That's what I was gonna say. If it was like, because it could be a family account, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, Uber Black." Then he's gonna be like, "Hey, you should probably be Uber X." And like this pool, like there's surge charges going on. There's surge prices. He's telling you how to spend your own money.
That's true. That's true. He's looking down on my savings.
You want to contribute to this? You got Uber Black money? You got some Uber Black money? That's how they talk to us.
You sound like a parent now.
Uber Black money? He knows.
Thank you. I needed that coaching.
I got you.
Let me ask you a serious question. Talk about influences and impact of people in our lives. You had a great person guide you and instill stuff in you, in the late, great Bill Walton. Talk about the relationship you had with his family and how much he meant to you.
Oh, it's still tough, talking about it. I was fortunate where I found out kind of not accidentally, a couple months early, because it was very private. He didn't want anybody to know, because that's just Bill. He just, he didn't want anybody to know about what was going on. And so we were supposed to do the UCLA versus Arizona match in March, like leading up to like the end of the Pac-12 is the last time. So I was going to call the game with them. You've called the game with them before.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. So I was excited. I actually called our boss at ESPN saying, "Hey, I want to go do this." So I'd done it before. And so I was going to call the last UCLA Arizona game at Pauley Pavilion, bring my kids, just going to have a lot of fun. And it was supposed to be me and Bill doing it together. And I get a call like on Tuesday, like, "Hey, they want to know if you can do the USC game also. Bill can't do either game." And I'm like, man, the only reason why I'm here is I don't really even care about Arizona UCLA game. I love my alma mater, but I'm like, I'm working an extra day because I want to work with Bill, right? Like, is that what was going on? And at that point in time, I kind of hit up Luke. I'm like, "Hey, is Bill okay?" Like, blah, blah, blah. He didn't respond. And I was like, "Listen, dude, I just asked you a question." And he was like, "Hey, man, he's, going through some stuff, but he just wants to keep it private." So it's like, that part was tough to hear that. And what made it really, really difficult was that as soon as like the playoffs started, playoffs start in April. He's sending me messages like before every game. Like only Bill can. I know Rick Carlisle talked about some messages that he had shared. But it would be like, Richard, we love you. You're doing an outstanding job. Keep being. And it was before every single game that I was calling, because he would sit in his hospital bed, sit in hospice care, and they would just be watching basketball with his boys, which are my brothers. And he'd be like, we need to send Richard a message. And it would just be like this long Bill Walton message. So like right before I'm about to go on air doing a job that one of the most important men that I've ever met in my life, he used to do, he's sitting here encouraging me on his deathbed. It was just it was a difficult but surreal time. Like kind of like, what is my life? Like the guy that I grew up watching on NBC, him and Snapper Jones arguing together. And I'm like, yo, that's Bill Walton. And then I, meet his son on a college visit because we're both basketball players. And he immediately becomes my mentor at 17 years old. And now I'm 45 years old, 44 years old, and I'm calling basketball games, and he's sending me messages like on his deathbed. It's like, it's hard to even put your life into perspective when you look at how blessed you've been and how important he's been. My parents didn't play sports. My parents that wasn't their thing. My parents didn't even go straight to college. So to have my best friend's dad be like, okay, I know what happens in college. I know what happens in the NBA. I know what happens in the broadcasting space when you retire. I'll give you the guidebook. Like at 17, to have your best friend's dad be a legend in so many fields. I didn't even know how blessed I was when that was going on. I just thought as a basketball nerd fan that like this was cool, and he was amazing. But he was... all of our goals is to be like him, just to be and live life and not give a damn about anybody and do things your own way and to smile. Like that was the example to me that he really set and just kind of left, but immeasurable impact that he had on my life.
I had the privilege of calling a game with him, and he treated my middle son, who I brought along to experience me on the road calling a game and visit school, and it took his phone, put his number in his phone, said, if you need anything, don't hesitate to call me. Just met him, but impacted and gave a crap about family. So he was somebody I had tremendous respect and admiration for. Knew him as a player, obviously growing up, but even had more respect for him as a human being. Just a powerful, powerful impact that he had on so many.
Yeah, and it's just you know it, but you don't know it. You don't realize that he's such a pop culture figure. You don't realize that he was the LeBron James of the 60s. You don't realize that he was like this guy because he's had so many stages of his life that I really only knew him as the broadcaster. And then upon loving basketball and learning more about the history, you're like, oh, man. This dude, some of the things that he was doing, he was 21 for 22 in the national championship game. Like, what? Like, that's just 88 straight games in a row. Like, and you're just like, and then when he's special and he's Bill, you're like, oh, you're looking at this game through a very different lens than everybody else. Like, you're looking at it from a level that 3, 4, maybe 5 people in the history of the planet can look through the game. And that's why he was so critical and so goofy and so off the wall, because he was just like, that he's an awful player. It's like, Bill, he's averaging 18 and 7. That was me as a freshman in high school. I kid you not, I was sitting at his dinner at his house where I was in college, and I used to always mess with him. And then he was like 60 million for that player. Oh my God, terrible. And I go, Bill, I was like, if you were a free agent today in your prime, how much do you think you'd be worth? He seriously at the dinner table, 10 people. He's like, France. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, I'd be worth the GDP of France if I So I started messing with him. I'm like, Bill, whatever, you're crazy. And he's like, Richard, don't argue with someone in the Hall of Fame. And so I'm like, oh, really, Bill? Like, well, what Hall of Fame are you in? He proceeded to name like 12 Hall of Fames. I'm in the UCLA Hall of Fame, the NBA Hall of Fame, the Academic All-American Hall of Fame. I played one game in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm in the Tennessee Hall. And I'm just sitting here having I literally living my dream, sitting here talking trash to an NBA icon, and he's just having the time of his life giving me shit. He's outside of my parents and LUTE Olson, he's probably the most pivotal person that I've ever met and had in my life.
That's awesome. And speaking about relationships, a former teammate of yours in the broadcast booth is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. How proud of you are, JJ Redick?
Well, he's now my second good friend that is now the head coach of the Lakers, because it was Bill Walton first. And then now it's JJ. I keep telling both of them, what are you guys doing? Why are you coaching? Bad decisions. I'm like, I'm having a blast over here. I haven't lost a game in years. I was already bald, but, I don't have to worry about that type of stress. No, you know what? You know this, Mark. There's because you're kind of like, you get to do both sides of the coin. You're amazing as a broadcaster, but there's a part of you that loves to teach and to impact young men and to coach and do that stuff. I don't have that desire to do that. I don't have that desire, but the people that do, I support it. I support it because it's like, I don't understand why you do it. JB Bickerstaff, Jamal Mosley, all these guys, we were all friends in our 20s. And you're just like we're going to go coach. It's like, well, I'm going to go talk about basketball. Y'all can go coach. But there's just something about guys that want to coach. They have to do it. It's not a choice. They feel like it is their responsibility. They want that challenge. They want to do it. And JJ's been that way. Like, he's so great in the broadcast booth. He's such a great podcaster, such a great interviewer. He is dynamic in the media space. But there's a part of him that just says, I have to coach basketball. That is my calling. And I support it, however boneheaded decision it is to ever coach sports, any sport, not just the Lakers or just in the NBA. I think all of you coaches are nuts.
Serious question, though.
Nah,
this is serious. Are you surprised at all?
Seriously.
Are you surprised at all that I haven't gotten another opportunity to coach?
Only because I know you. Only because I know you and I know how hard you work, and I know I was there, like, ground zero. Like, I got traded to Golden State that first year. It was a lockout year. So, like, that was like halfway through your first season. And to watch you implement culture, that was the thing. It was the culture building of how hard we're going to work, how I'm going to instill confidence in each and every one of you, and also a level of accountability. It's been very surprising because I look at coaches that didn't have the same amount of success in such a short amount of time. And also because the lack of tradition in Golden State prior to that. Like, you had the Believe team, but like, it was very like 1-2 years over a course of 30 years. And after one lockout year, you put together 2 back-to-back playoffs with a very young team, and also the start of the changing the game, whether it's the number one defense, instilling like, Steph, shoot more, Clay, shoot more. This is how we're going to do it. So watching you from the inside. So I got to see the inside of this the first year and a half. I wasn't there that final year. But to watch it, and then I look around the league, and I'd been around other places, and I get to interview other coaches, and I'm constantly like, half these dudes don't know what the hell they doing. Half the dudes don't know what they're doing. They're a name, they're this, and it's like, even when you look at their track record, it doesn't. And so I've always felt that, and I've always been a big advocate about how great you were. At first, when you were with ESPN, you didn't want me to say it because you thought I was trying to take your job. You're like, oh, Rich, man, I want to coach, man, but like, don't speak too loudly. Like, come on. I'm like, no, you said you wanted a job. Like, what, you trying to get rid of me? You were speaking really highly about me. You were speaking really highly about me. You trying to get rid of me? I was like, no, man, you say you want a job. Like, and I know you can coach, because I would never, one thing that we both love and respect this game and what it does for us, I would never vouch for somebody that I didn't believe was capable of doing the job, because I would never want players to be impacted because I vouched for someone that wasn't, because it's my boy. It's like, no, I'm not going to put 12 young men in a bad position that's not going to allow them to be successful and get that money and get that bag. I'm going to advocate for people that I do believe because I want everyone to succeed. It was like T. Lue. T. Lue, when he got fired from the Clippers, or got fired from Cleveland, and he went in for a Laker job, and that got fumbled, and he chilled and was like, okay, I'm gonna go take the Clippers. A year and a half later, everyone's like, man, T. Lue's an amazing coach, and it was like, yo, bro, we were all telling you, we thought just LeBron, and he had to, like, no, he is a genius. I watched him and LeBron go toe to toe in a battle of basketball brains every day, and it was an even match. And we talk about LeBron's IQ, and it's like, bro, T. Lue is on that level. So I say that to say that watching you work and navigate and do all of those things, like there's not many coaches out there that I ever had an experience that did what you did. And so to see that, that you haven't had another job, that to me is a disservice to the game of basketball, because there's too many young players that would benefit from having you there. And that means that there's a lot of people out there that I've seen that they're not benefiting from, that are in those positions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let me make this other point, because you and I, if you played in my park, there's two guys that I watch run the lane in transition, catch the ball, and go in for a layup, that if you was from my park, we'd fight every single day. Josh Hart and you. Where did you learn to create the contact and kick, bump into, elbow, do everything possible and get the N1? The foul is really on you, but somehow you're going to the free throw line.
Let me say this. See, you look at the foul. You look at the creating content. I look at it as what I'm willing to do to go be successful. I will run into anything to go be successful. Right now, don't disrespect me. Like, some of the times I wasn't trying to take off. If I couldn't take off, I would just run into you. You got to wear that. You got to wear that on your body. But you're going to think I'm crazy in this. Look, I'll flex a little bit. I also believe that I was Superman, right? I believe that I would never get hurt. Like, I had, like, even to this day, like, I've had an ankle surgery, I've had a wrist surgery, but I played 82 games, I think 5 or 6 times in my career, including postseason, played 75 or more, I think like 10 times or 11 times. So I was like, oh, like, I never had a back, never had a knee, never had a hip. So it was like, oh, I could just run around and just bounce off people, fall on the ground, get up and feel fine. So I was like, this is what we do. And then I learned how to shoot as I got older. I learned how to shoot. But early on, when I couldn't shoot, think about it. When I first came into the league, my first 2 years, I probably shot like 15% from 3 and like 20% from 3. It was terrible. So they would sag like 5 feet off me and like disrespectful. So I was like, oh, well, screw it. I'm still going to drive right at your chest. You're going to take a charge, or it's going to get a block, or I'm going to try and take off. But I'm going to make you pay for sitting in the lane or guarding me at 5 feet. So then when I became a better shooter and they came out to guard me, I was still willing to just drive through everybody and just bounce off the walls. A little special, man. It was fun.
I ain't either be like, that's a flagrant. I'm like, yeah, on Richard.
But this is the difference between Josh Hart. I used to take off, so people didn't know. Josh Hart is just a bowling ball. He's a 6'4" bowling ball, 6'4" 5 bowling ball. I was at least trying to take off sometimes, but if I couldn't, and the last thing I'll say, we didn't have verticality. So if the big jumped at any time, it was a foul on them. They had to block the shot. So like Dikembe would put his hand right in front of the rim and try and block the ball in front of the rim. With verticality now, these dudes can just jump at the dots and go like this. And if you hit them, it's not a foul. Back earlier, you couldn't. If they jumped and you hit their body, it was a foul. So I would just run at their body, hit the foul, and try and make an and one. They changed the rules, so I changed. Like, look, we all adjusted to the rules that were there. If a big jump, you run into his body, that's a foul, then you go get an and one.
This dude is talking about verticality and all that. It made me realize you sound like a referee. I did see you referee a summer league game. Verticality, and he wasn't.
I'm not a referee. I'm not a. You know what I am, Mark?
Yeah, I know what you are.
You know what I am, Mark? I'm a con man, Mark. I'm a con man. Just put me wherever you got to put me. This is the thing. Mark knows this because people in the NBA, I guess the fans are always surprised about my personality because I didn't do social media as a player. I was very, but everyone in the NBA has always known me to be the. How long, Mark? You've known me since 2003, 4. Were you working with the S?
Yes.
How long have I been this exact same person?
You've been forever.
I try and tell people, I'm like, everyone in the NBA community knows that I'm just this person, but no one else knew that. So like for me, I was like, oh, you guys want me to referee? Sure, why not? I hated every second of it. Completely, because it's like I hadn't been on an NBA court since I was a player. 2 years, 3 years later, I'm refereeing. I'm sweating. I'm nervous. They got a camera on me. I'm mic'd up. The announcers are making fun of me. It's doing a Nick. It's a Nick game. What's the name? A Nick summer league game. So all their fans are heckling me. It was a quarter. I only did a quarter. People thought it was a game. I did a quarter. And I was counting down the minutes. Like, Richard, don't trip and fall. Don't do so. Like it was the most stressed event that I have done since I stopped playing. I'd rather play in the NBA Finals Game 7 than to go do that again.
Did you go through a process of them teaching you the rules and all of that?
Yeah, you know what? You go because they do a symposium for all of the referees, like FIBA, G League, WNBA, college. Like they all bring them together during summer league, and a lot of them train. They work with different like veteran refs. They break down all of their film stuff. So they go there. And there's like they're in it for like a couple hours every single day. I just did like an hour every day outside of my responsibilities. So it's like I'm learning how their brain works, like what they're looking for, like all of these different things. And it was one of the most valuable things to learn as a analyst that I'd ever experienced. Because as an analyst, you just got this whole nother bag of information that you've been given that aren't given to everyday people. And that part I felt very, very beneficial. And I've always respected the referees. That was the only reason why they let me in there, because I would just run my mouth to them and crack jokes with them during the game.
If you guys have made it this far in the video, go ahead and like and subscribe, comment, say something, say something nice to us. This has been a great time, Pops. I don't know if you got any more questions, but this I know we got to be mindful of Richard's time. So. Oh
yeah, because my day rate for an hour, bro. Whoa, man. Hour of my time, bro. I gave y'all an hour and 20 because Pops is my G.
Let me ask one more question.
You ask. I'll be here all day with you.
You don't have a GOAT, no. But who wins in their prime? The original Dream Team or this Olympic team?
Each player in their prime?
Everybody's in their prime.
Take your time.
That's a tough one because we're talking about prime. 92 Dream Team, Magic and Bird were outside of their prime, right? They were outside of their prime. So we're talking about all primes?
I'm going to repeat the question. Who wins, the original Dream Team or this year's Olympic team? Everybody in their prime, healthy and whole.
I would say the original Dream Team. And it's, I think, Patrick, David, Karl Malone, even Pip. I feel like I'm missing one big. Barkley versus Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Joel Embiid, and who am I missing? One other big? We can count Bron big ass too. But I'm just saying, when I look at the intensity that they had on the interior, plus the Magic, they had the shooting with Chris Mullin, you know, like John Stockton. Again, we talking about floor general. We're talking about Stockton versus Tyrese Halliburton. With all due respect, like people don't give Stockton the credit as a top 4 point guard in NBA history, in my opinion. So I would still give them the edge. As now, if you were to say team versus team in present form upon arriving, this team, I think, beats that team because Magic and Larry weren't Magic and Larry. But if you go all of those players in their prime, I would give a slight edge. I would give a slight edge to the 92 Dream Team.
That is the most political.
Magic. We're talking about 86 Magic, 95 Jordan. We're talking about, you know, come on.
That is the most political answer you've ever given since I met you. So you have changed.
You're welcome.
Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description. Use the promo code MARK, that's Mark, for a match first-time deposit of up to $250. We appreciate y'all.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. That's the dynamic one, my guy Blue. So grateful to have Richard Jefferson, the great Richard Jefferson.
Thank you.
Continued blessings, man. Keep on impacting. Keep on being a difference maker. That's the RJG building at the University of Arizona. Shout out, man. Love and appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.
Remember, former guest Bill Bellamy went to Rutgers University, majoring in finance. Big aspirations of a career in the financial world. Yes, that Bill Bellamy. That's a legendary actor and comedian. Former guest Iron Eagle got his big break as a producer for the Trailblazing show, Mike and the Mad Dog on radio. Yes, that Iron Eagle that does NBA games, NFL games, and national championship college basketball games. When you are having dreams and aspirations, be sure to leave room for Audible. You may just stumble onto your call or your purpose. Blessings.